And our final coach of the morning, the head coach of the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, Joe Moglia. Morning, Coach.
Hey, morning, Mark.
Chants moved to 3-0 following a 30-3 victory over South Carolina State. Heading back to the road to Florida A&M Saturday afternoon, evening, 5 o'clock. If you can open up, talk about the win over SC State, and then give us your thoughts on Florida A&M. We'll go into questions.
First, I continue to be pleased with the way our defense is improving. We're still not as good as we need to get to, but we are definitely improving as a defense. I think there were a number of times where we got ourselves in situations where we were backed up, they were driving, but we really did do a good job. We did come up with good series and good plays when it mattered. And again, our defense keeps improving. We're pleased with that. From an offensive perspective, I think our conference player of the week, I think D'Angelo Henderson really did have an outstanding game. But I don't think any of us are pleased with our overall offensive performance. We had too many sacks. We dropped a couple of balls. We got to stop doing that. And we had a fumble. We can't have turnovers. So, but our offensive staff is well aware of that, and our players are well aware of that. And I would hope we continue to improve and get to the point where we're more consistent on offense. And I thought we struggled the other night with regards to special teams. Austin Kane, our punter, who normally has been very reliable for us, I think going back even 3 years, just had one of those off nights. He had a couple of crappy kicks. He wasn't real sharp. But other than our punt game, I was pleased with the rest of the special teams. So I think across the board, pleased with special teams, pleased with our defense, pleased with the effort that we had, certainly out of Hop. A little bit better consistency, certainly out of our punt. A little better consistency, certainly out of our offense. And our defense needs to continue to improve. That's basically where we are.
All right, thanks, Coach. So we'll begin taking questions for head coach Joe Moglia. Please press star 1 on your phone, or click the Q&A link near the top of your browser and click raise hand. And before we move into questions, Coach, if you can talk about the stadium record, 10,124 in attendance is a great sight, seeing the stadium full. Just what that meant and your thoughts on that.
Our athletic director, Matt Hogue, and his staff made a real concerted effort to emphasize the fact, frankly, that Coastal Carolina contributes about $400 million in economic value on an annual basis to this entire expanded community. And frankly, I think the way the community can become closer to the university is just demonstrate support, not necessarily by making donations, but frankly supporting us more in terms of attendance. I think we're starting to see a little bit more of that. And I think Dr. Connor, our VP for Student Affairs, as well as Dean Overton, also make a concerted effort with regards to the kids on the campus about getting to the game. And frankly, the freshman class that came in, the typical student that came in, we had more of an emphasis on, if you're going to come to our school, we want you to be involved. We want you to be involved with what's going on. And I think we did have a good turnout, more so than normal from the community, more so than normal from our student body. A very, very good turnout on the part of the freshman class. And what we're hoping to do, frankly, is establish some sort of a base where, our team will always give it 100%. We may not always be successful, but we'll always go after pretty good. And I think we play a reasonably exciting brand of ball. They're pleasant afternoons or pleasant evenings, and hopefully that continues. But I couldn't have been, more pleased with the turnout that we had Friday night and their enthusiasm.
All right, thanks, Coach. Our first questions for you are from St. Clair Moraine of the Tallahassee Democrat. Go ahead.
Hi, Coach. Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. St. Clair, good morning.
Good. Coach, talk about coming to Tallahassee for the first time.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to that. And, we have about 6 or 7 guys on the team that are going to be making the trip that live near or around there, or, within 100, 200 miles or so. We're certainly aware that there's a lot of activity going to be going on in Tallahassee that weekend. It's going to be a plane trip for us. So we're excited about going there, St. Clair.
Coach, so far you've had a pretty decent run through the MEAC. You got the Aggies, and then you took down the Bulldogs. Talk about this one.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that people may not be aware of in terms of, Florida A&M, but, they're one of the leaders in the country with regards to the fewest disciplines, fewest penalties. That always tells me that a team is well coached and disciplined. I can see that when I look at tape on the guys. They run a pro-style offensive set. They don't do a lot of motion or a lot of shifts, but they will do some of that. They'll try to confuse you with some and give you some change of strength. The quarterback is similar to the quarterback we think we saw in North Carolina A&T. He's got the ability to get out of trouble anytime. He's got the ability to pick up yardage with his legs anytime. If his guys are covered, he can take off. And, we've got to be able to contain him. We had difficulty with the guy at A&T. Hopefully we improve significantly there. Their line blocking, the line ones are doing a good job, and they've got a couple of running backs that do a good job of moving the ball. From a defensive perspective, they run a pro 34. They will hit you. They're aggressive up front. They try to give you a whole lot of changes. They're coming from the right side one time, the left side another time, the middle another time. They're faking coming, they're coming back. They try to create as many disguises and confusion as they possibly can. There's good news and bad news on that as far as we goes. The bad news is that's a tough defense to be able to prepare for. The good news, though, if you do catch a mistake, if you do catch a seam, then very often times you're talking about the possibility of a big play. But we got to work very, very hard to make sure our reads and our discipline are right when we're looking at them both from the sideline and the box and on the field. They do have 17 starters returning from a year ago, so that's a lot of experience. They should be. I think they are much better than they were a year ago. 9 of those guys are all-star candidates. And, they're coming out of last season saying we got to set the record right. I mean, it's a better team with a lot of experience coming back. They had a great opening game against Jackson. It was just, frankly, sad the way they lost the game. You don't want to see, unless you happen to be the team winning that particular game, frankly, you don't want to see any team lose like that. That's a heartbreaker for the guys. They were behind, they came from behind, et cetera, to be able to do that. I think the fact that I think they handled themselves reasonably well against Miami. And I think the fact that they had a week off kind of rests them up if they got any bangs and bruises. And I have no doubt that they're going to be well ready to go, rested and ready to go for us.
Coach, you sure you don't live in Tallahassee?
No, I live here. I live here in South Carolina.
Well, you have done your homework. About the schedule, Coach, where you end up playing 3 straight MEAC teams, was that by design?
No. One of the things philosophically I don't like to do is I don't like us playing Division II schools, and I don't like us playing FBS schools. So what I want to be able to do is play competitive FCS schools, ideally some that are closer to us, but we can't always get that done. Tallahassee is a little bit of a ways. If we had another plane trip this year, we probably would have to bus, but we don't have another one, so we're able to fly down. But now that's a reasonable distance, but it's not that far. So we would rather be playing FCS programs, closer to our campus rather than not, East Coast schools rather than not. But we don't particularly want to play FBS schools or FCS schools, or Division II schools. So by definition, we're going to play more FCS schools. And the MEAC, frankly, happens to have a lot of schools that are around us. We should be playing more of them.
Coach, what's the upside of playing a schedule like the first 3 games against Jacksonville?
I'm sorry, Sinclair, what's the upside of playing the first 3 games
against 3 teams from the same conference consecutive?
Oh, yeah, man, you know what? I don't know if there was any. Like I said, there was no design to do that. It's a total coincidence, and we don't look at it by league at all. We look at it by school. So when we played, opening up against Citadel, well, they weren't a MEAC school, but they're a Southern Conference school, but we weren't thinking of that. They go to A&T, MEAC school, but we're not thinking of that. We're preparing against A&T, getting ready for South Carolina State. It's a coincidence to us they happen to be a MEAC school, but we're getting ready for South Carolina State. We don't care if A&M is a MEAC school or a Big South school or like what kind of conference they're in or independent. We're getting ready for Florida A&M. So I know you were kidding a little bit about Tallahassee and what we know about these guys. Done our homework. We have done no homework in terms of what they do in the MEAC. The MEAC, we have done all sorts of homework about what they do specifically.
Coach, what concerns you most about, playing family? I know you mentioned a couple of things, but what in particular on either side of the ball concerns you?
Well, I think if you look at the offense, I think you got to look at their ability to. The quarterback can hurt you many different ways, and we have to know how to be able to defend him. When you think about their defense can cause a lot of confusion, a lot of chaos, and they're always coming aggressively. And they can hurt you if you're not disciplined, you're not practicing your ball security and all those things. So that's the one thing on the offense that I'm concerned with the most, and the one thing on the defense I'm concerned with the most.
Great, Coach. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, Sinclair. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you, St. Clair. And, Coach, just one final question for you, just the status on Quinn Backus.
We'll know for sure later on this afternoon, but we anticipate he's going to be full go.
All right, that's good to hear. Well, that's all the questions for you, Coach. Appreciate you joining us. Thanks, and good luck Saturday at Florida A&M.
Thank you, Mark. Bye-bye.
All right. And that will conclude our teleconference. Once again, my thanks to the coaches and media for joining us. Playback of this call will be available later on BigSouthSports.com. Again, thanks to everyone joining us. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to everyone next Tuesday.